Hi, I'm Del, and I'm from a tiny island called Saipan. And there, we don't really talk about immigration and immigration policies because many of our friends, our families, our relatives, coworkers are all immigrants from different countries like Pakistan, India, China, Japan, Korea, Philippines, and it's hard. Um, it's a very uncomfortable topic. However, since moving to the United States, I've learned that immigration and immigrants are is a subject that has a lot of stigma or hate, dislike, and um, I've recently learned why. So, immigrants themselves have this fear that that keep them from applying for jobs because of employment verification and fingerprint scanning. At home, these immigrants are afraid of immigration raids um, that people and the reason they're afraid is because they're scared that these the immigrant officials have found out about their undocumented immigration status. You see, undocumented immigrants that have lived in the United States for decades have worked hard, paid their taxes, have U.S. citizen children, bought homes, made businesses. They're all and have been contributing members of their communities themselves can't simply get in line to apply for citizenship. Immigrants can change their status to temporary worker and become a green card holder. However, they must have entered the US lawfully, no exceptions, even to young children. Even young children need to be um, need to have entered the US lawfully. And um, you see, there's no line, as we learned from watching Jose Antonio Vargas's TED Talk video to simply come into the uh, to simply become a U.S. citizen. See, in order to come to the U.S., people can visit as a tourist or apply for student visa. But immigration that leads to a green card and legal permanent residency or American citizenship is simply not an option for the vast majority of Americans or immigrants, because they did not and were not able to enter the U.S. legally. There's three paths into coming to the U.S., and that's employer based, family based, or asylum seekers. So, for employer based, you have to have a job lineup with an eligible employer who's able to sponsor you. However, you need to have advanced skills or have been working in your profession for such a long time, like professors, scientists, executives, and even so, there's a limit on the number of foreign workers that can come into the U.S. to be employed. As a result of being um, pretty much loyal to your employer because of immigration and the fear of being deported back into your country, um, employers have employers have um, what is it called? Um, um, so what was I saying? Employees themselves have been um, exploited and abused by their employers. Also, there are temporary or seasonal um, visas being granted to agriculture and other jobs which are temporary and very limited and costly to their employers, to people who are hiring them. Yes. Also, the second is family based, and here U.S. citizens can petition their family members, like spouses, unmarried children, siblings, to come to the U.S. However, unmarried children can last up to 5 years, before they are even granted U.S. citizen. Visa, and then siblings can wait up to 10 years before they're granted their visa. Um, but the thing is, high level countries like that have immigration, high level um, high levels of immigration from countries like Mexico, India, China, and the Philippines have to wait longer in order to be granted access to the U.S. So in Mexico, unmarried children have to wait more than 20 years, and in the Philippines, siblings can wait um, more than or up to 25 years. And this is because of the number of requests they have. And so, moving on, the next is for to come into the United States. There's another one that's called as for asylum seekers. Each year, refugees for are each year there's a limit on how much refugees we can take in for humanitarian reasons. In 2017, there was a cap of 50,000 immigrants that we could have taken to seek for those who are seeking asylum. Um, so these individuals, they are screened by multiple international or U.S. agencies, and they have to prove that they have a well-founded fear of persecution based on racial or membership because of their race, membership in particular social groups, political opinions, or national origin. And most people are not in this category, and you can't and most individuals come to the United States because they're simply trying to get in touch with family members, or because they're trying to improve their economic status. And you can't simply qualify for asylum for being poor or having difficult economic conditions. And so most of these asylum seekers, they are denied because it's very difficult to prove that their life is in direct danger from wherever they came from their home countries. Um, Likewise, U.S. citizens who are already in the U.S. can be sponsored by um, I meant to say immigrants. Immigrants already in the U.S. can be sponsored by U.S. citizens um, or their children, but the children must be 21 years or older. But some states like Tennessee and Arizona, as we've learned, have proposed state laws refusing to grant birth certificates to babies whose parents are undocumented citizens or have who are undocumented. Um, but as I was saying, if you're already in the U.S., you can marry a U.S. citizen, but you must leave to go to your country of origin, and then claim that you were undocumented. However, in order to that can also trigger a ban, which can last up to 10 years, and then you won't be able to come in to the U.S. And then for U.S. residents who seek naturalization, the process is that, or the eligibilities is that you need to be 18 years or older at the time of filing. You must have lived in the U.S. for a continuous 5 years, or and that's with a as a permanent legal resident. And then there's 3 years if you have a green card already with through a spouse, and then you have to show physical residence in the U.S. for at least 30 months, within the last 5 years, or 18 months if you're married to a U.S. citizen. You must show good moral conduct, read, write, speak, and know the basics of the U.S. civics and be able to speak, read, and write English. Yeah, so these are the reasons why it's so difficult for immigrants to be able to, or not undocumented immigrants, to be able to um, get their U.S. citizen status or become even documented and gain their green card and become green card holders.